Hey, welcome back to Spilled Ink, the Comics Wellspring live drawing show where we're spilling ink and spilling tea. And of course, I am your host, Brandon Blocksdorf. And of course, my amazing, astonishing, over the top, just brilliant co host, we have Max Flowers here. Hi, Max. And I think your internet wigged out again, Max. um, and then we have, of course, we always have our, I'm saying of course way too much this stream already, but we have our amazing special guest. You may know him from books like Death Wish, and I'm spacing out your other books. I could be wrong.
Condry,
Conjury, there you
and
go.
Legend of the Night Owl is another one.
Legend of the Night Owl. Yeah, we have Kieran Quinn with us. Kieran, I'm so excited to draw with you. I'm kind of intimidated. Uh, you're amazing. I'm so excited to do this with you. Um, and real quick, just so people know, Jeremy John Hanson was going to come hang out with us tonight. He couldn't. We're going to be inking his pencils, Max and I, while Kieran whips up something nice and fresh. But he'll be on next week. So, but hi, Kieran. I'm so. How are you? How's the? Congrats being a dad. How's the dad life?
Oh, thank you. It's great. It's difficult, and uh, you know, it's like I didn't. You never know what to expect. I mean, as much as I read all the books and have seen the movies and all these things, it's like uh, getting tossed into a fire and forgetting everything. So,
I
I
love
mean,
it.
it's been kind of a wild ride, but I'm really enjoying it.
That's awesome. How is it balancing your art life with your new fatherhood life?
Um, well, I get to work on certain days and I get to watch my son on certain days. So the balance is there, but it's also like, uh, I don't know, it's just been kind of wild. Like things just come up, or he has so many, um, like doctor's appointments right at he's only 4 months old now. So every doctor's appointment is like you have one every month or two at the beginning, and it, it's kind of tough. But I'm not complaining. I mean, hey, is he as long as he's healthy and happy, and we're healthy and happy, I can't complain about anything.
Oh, I love it. Um, and tell us about your new book that you worked on with John O'Burke, The Remainders. How did that come about? And congrats on the Kickstarter so far.
Thanks. That started. John reached out to me. He asked me if he basically we got like talking about different things that we like to or what I like to draw and what he was writing, and I think we just kind of hit a good, like, I don't know, we just kind of hit it off. um it's funny, when he first sent me the script, it was like one way, and then he's like, well, don't draw anything yet, or I'm still making tweaks, and then he totally kind of changed half of the script, and all of a sudden there was like animals and different things like this that I had specifically told him that I wasn't great at drawing,
Oh
and
my gosh.
then and then he's like, yeah, you'll figure it out, and now I'm drawing horses and birds and dogs and other animals, and um I don't know, it's just like it ended up being like a lot of fun because I'd never gotten to draw those things. um yeah.
Does that kind of
So
parallel some of the like new freshness you're taking on as a father this year too? Like you got to really just open up and challenge yourself in different ways.
oh yeah, 100%. Everything, I mean, I love learning, and I love being like thrown off balance. My whole kind of world is has changed in the past few years. Um, I mean, I gave up my steady job to try to become an artist. So, um, and you know, I had this job for like 13 years, where people are, I had a major position, people are counting on me, but when I left, they were like, yeah, yeah, whatever you need, um, uh, like go off and try to make it happen. And that's what I'm working on now. And then throw a baby into the mix. Um, that's like, you know, uh, really kind of like shooting yourself in the foot. But um, I don't know. It's all been worth it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm sure you've grown more in the last like during these experiences than ever before. Like I bet you're reaching new heights and like even a certain type of mental clarity of a sense of who you are and what you're meant to be doing.
Yeah. I mean, it, before all this, I didn't know if I was even good at art.
That's insane.
um, because like everyone around you, right? Like all your friends and family are like, "You're good, you're great, like go do your thing." But like that's your friends and family. What else are they supposed to say?
Yeah,
So
I get that. Yeah.
like now it's become um like, oh, I'm getting recognized by other people or other things like that, and it becomes like, oh, I guess I am actually pretty good. It's still imposter syndrome though. I mean,
Of course. I mean, you are brilliant. I mean, that's a whole thing. That's a whole discussion. But I mean, because when people really realize like the remainders and like with the work you do in that book, like I'll just show it quick. I have a little flyer right here. This is all, traditional work. All the coloring is traditional. Um, like this is beautiful. This is insane. I mean, dude, look at that hand. Look at that hand. I just love it. Um,
thanks.
Doug Knight. Don't ask Box Store funny things. Oh, I love Doug. Um, Doug Knight of Cross Eye Comics, that little Spilled Inker as well. He's earned his badges. But dude, yeah, I get that. Like, the imposter syndrome's always. I think that's just something we all. Oddly enough, it's hard to battle through that. I think Max had some internet problems. He dropped out, but like,
Uh,
uh, just in general, like imposter syndrome and getting over that's such a weird battle to face. Like, what do you kind of do to help you kind of overcome that?
Um, uh, Nothing. I just keep drawing. I just keep working. I don't think there's a way to get over it. I work really hard and I try my best, and I hope that like everything I do actually, like I never feel like I've made it. Like
Hmm.
yeah, I've published a few books or whatever, but it's not, I don't know when I'm gonna feel like, okay, now I'm a real artist, or uh, like I think it is just, keep keep working, keep, you know trying.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think that's the
yeah.
biggest way to like kind of come to terms and peace with that. It's like, well, I do it every day. It's part of me, and this is, I think about it. I study it every day. Like, I'm at my craft. Like, I'm trying to get better. Like, you're conscious of wanting to grow and get better. I think that's the best way to overcome imposter. Not overcome it. I guess like make a peace with it. Like I don't know how many of us will overcome that feeling in general. Uh, oh, Doug Knight says he backed the remainders.
Great.
And sold those badges for coffee beans. I love you. And oh,
Thanks,
when we'll get
Doug.
over it, 2047. That's when I figure it'll hit. It's a good round number. Um, Yeah, I mean, I feel that way with like my writing, my, podcasting. My girlfriend like called me an artist the other day, and I was just like, I'm not an artist. Like, what are you talking
You're
about? Like,
you're an artist.
yeah, exactly. See, like people like will say that, and I'm like, nah. That is imposter syndrome at its finest. I don't feel like I'm at like a point to be like, oh yeah, I'm an artist. Like I make drawings and art. Like I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It feels weird. Like I'm not. I don't feel like my skills there enough to like declare myself that in that sense. Isn't that shitty?
Hmm.
Isn't that the worst thing ever? You get it.
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
it's funny because like at one point I was like, I'm an artist, and then I look at the work I did back then, and I'm like, I don't think I was an artist.
yeah,
But
I feel you there.
I mean, it's just like, oh well, that's just me being harsh on myself. Like
Yeah,
it's we all grow, we all you know um get better at our craft, no
hmm
matter what it is. So
and just being
I had a
conscious of
big
that, just knowing you're working at it. That's just gotta. As long as we can all acknowledge that, that'll be like, okay, that should give us enough to make peace with it somehow.
yeah. I mean, I had a big ego boost this year. I went to New York Comic Con and I submitted my portfolio, which was just the inks of the remainders.
Oh wow,
Uh,
nice.
I submitted it for at DC Comics for a review, and they only pick 4 people a day. Um, and I was chosen, and I was like, wow, that like just getting the chance to talk to someone
Yeah.
like that. It was a true professional that like has a like real experience, looking at art and you know uh, where I live and who I get to converse with a lot. They don't know anything about art. Like they see it, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's great," and then it's like, "No, no, I need critiquing. I need
Yeah.
understanding. I need you to tell me what should be changed or what you like or what should be different or whatever." And until I got uh that review, I didn't know if I was doing it right. And I got a lot of really great comments.
That's awesome.
Um and like a lot of things were like, "Oh, you should pull back on doing this so much or that so much." Um because
Is there
like
anything
the
in
art is
particular that
there.
you like want to share, like on that feedback on that side, that like you
Oh,
want to
well,
focus
okay.
on and
So
change?
my the feedback that I got was really like use breaking the panel as like an emphasis. Like I tend to just hop out of the panel no matter what because like I think it's fun. And uh the woman I had spoken to, she's like, "That's great, except for you lose the impact. You lose the impact on it uh when it's really needed." Because like you're drawing
Mm.
people's eye or you're drawing the focus, and it's not like there's no reason to make that to give that focus. And I
Oh,
just
That's
that's
great
cool.
you
advice.
know I just kind of do it for
Yeah.
fun. But then I explained,
That's
like, if you see my first book, if you read Condry issue 0, which is just a 6-page like ash can, there's I think there's 2 panels in it. I think there's yeah, I think there's like 2 times where I broke off and put a square and put something in it
oh wow.
because I didn't really know what I was doing. Well, not I didn't know how else to tell the story that I was given because it was
Mm.
given as a story instead of like a script. You know what I'm you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That makes
So,
sense.
yeah, it was like it just like a totally different I don't know, it's totally different.
I love that. I love how
So
like once you get
going
that
from
advice
that to
too.
like what I'm doing now is, you know.
Insane. It's like, dude, I mean, there's huge leaps between Conjuring 1 and I remember seeing that a few years ago and what you're doing like now with the remainders. Like, dude, oh man,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
I'm so like fortunate that you guys wanted to put it through Apollo because it is the most beautiful book in the catalog for sure. And it's the most
Oh, I
beautiful
appreciate
book
that.
about garbage. Like it's insane. There's so many parallels
Yeah.
there. It's really pretty.
I that's one thing that I absolutely love. I think um making trash like the focus is
Hmm.
um like letting people know that it's okay to be trash. Not really. I don't know how to like, explain it, but
Like,
it's okay to be um it's okay to live how you, as long as you're trying to make everything better, like just because you live in what someone else considers a trash heap doesn't mean it's an actual trash heap.
mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
I
no,
don't know.
yeah. I love that. Well, I mean, I was talking to John about it, and I was like, it's especially in these times that we're in at the moment, uh, it's finding beauty in a garbage-filled world, Like,
Yeah,
um, I
that's what
love
I'm
that.
trying to say.
Yeah,
That's where I'm trying to get to.
and it's so needed right now with just the state of things. I think it was the perfect book to come out at this time. And yeah, we launched it at the election, and that was, interesting. But I
Yeah,
think it mirrored the message that needed to happen, and that people needed to hear right now too.
yeah. I think
We also have Doug Knight asking, "Have you found fatherhood has affected your work ethic at all? Increase, decrease? Do you feel more vindicated when you complete new stuff?"
um I feel like I work faster because I know that like time is limited. Which kind of just pushes me to like I want to get that same uh result with less time. So I mean it definitely pushes me harder. Uh Not only because like I want more time with my family, but also because I don't have any other time. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Um, and
it's always
then
a struggle balancing like um how long it takes you to do a page with like the quality that comes out at the end, you know? Like
Yeah.
making sure that it is your best work, but also that you're being efficient with the time.
Yeah, I mean, I could spend hours and hours on one page and just like fill it with all the detail that I love to put in. But it unfortunately, a lot of readers are like they love the story, they love to see the art, but they don't sit and study it. So it's not
right.
even worth the time. But it's worth it to me because that's what I love to do. But it's also, no one's looking at that. No one's trying to find Pikachu in a pile of garbage or Star Wars characters in a pile of garbage that are snuck in there somewhere, you know.
Oh, it's awesome to know. I love that. I mean, that's the exciting stuff. I love seeing detail like that because I love finding little, Easter eggs and everything. It shows a lot. I think it shows a lot about the artist and um, just like the fun they're having with the book too.
Oh yeah.
Um, Doug Knight says that opportunity makes you feel sparkly dude favorite, referring to your DC Comics experience. Um,
Oh.
John says, "Sorry, I made you draw a bunch of animals, Kieran."
No, no,
I
I appreciate it, John. I absolutely think that it made me a better artist. And because I showed that to the artist, to the editor that I was spoke to. She was like, you showed us a horse. No one shows us horses. And I was like, well, I think it's a pretty good horse. And she's like, it is. It's a great horse. Like, you did a great job.
That's,
Like, this is a great panel. I love this. And I'm like, okay, great. Because
yeah,
awesome.
I mean, Mignola constructed Hellboy to never have to draw cars or horses.
Yep.
You know? So to be brave enough to draw things is a whole nother thing.
Oh yeah. I mean,
But
cars is another thing. I don't, until I drew Death Wish, which I still need to talk to Mark about because we haven't printed it yet. But not the second issue, I should say. But like cars is like a totally weird thing to draw because you think that there's edges, you think that there's lines, and then they all kind of curve into each other. Even the boxiest cars don't work.
Yeah. Which
I
like
always draw old cars for that reason.
yeah, I don't know. My cars are kind of like on the weird side, I feel. But I'm not complaining. I don't think anyone else is either.
your trains are awesome, that's for sure.
Oh, thank you. That took some studying.
Adam Matthew Smith says, "One man's trash is another man's treasure." Love that. Just referring to the remainders in general. Doug Knight, Jay Red told me that development isn't an overnight thing. It's okay to embrace your own growing style too. And then Tanner Ogle says, "Yo, fuck cars." Hi, Tanner.
Yeah.
I love
Well, like,
Tanner so much.
going back to that conversation just about like growth over time, and what's crazy is like people look at my work, right, and they say, "Oh my goodness, you're incredibly talented," right? But they don't understand that it's not necessarily talent that's gotten me to where I am. It's that I have sketchbooks from years and years that are just filled with utter garbage, but I love doing it anyways. And
yeah.
so over time, I've gotten better and better and better until it looks like talent. It looks easy, but it's only because I struggled so hard.
I mean, I think we all kind of do that. Like, well, I mean, yeah, people say, "Oh, you have such a talent for it," but yeah, I mean, I thought I was good 10 years ago. I wasn't as, as you look back, you say, "Oh, wow, like I really needed the work. I really needed to put in the time and effort, no matter how talented you actually are."
I think that's why, like, I
more than
distance
anything, what amazes
myself. Oh, was that Max? Go for it.
more than anything, what's amazed me is my ability to like tell stories through pictures over time.
Yeah.
That has been incredible. That has been incredibly interesting to watch that skill grow.
I think that's
It's
what
funny.
like I distance myself from like calling myself like an artist because like I know being a writer and a bassist that like how many hours goes into getting really great at something. And I don't feel like I give that to my art as I did with my bass playing and my writing. And I'm barely like starting to really, but like because I know what it takes, I know I'm not like at that level because I don't give it that. Does that make sense? It's very imposter
But what
syndrome, but like
But what's cool about that is that you're visibly showing the years and years of garbage that me and Kieran did, that we kept to ourselves.
gosh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, pretty much all my drawing career is all on YouTube. Like since Apollo when we were doing it to now, which is kind of funny. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I went to school. I mean, I went to college. I did art in college, but I didn't do like I didn't do anything like illustration specific. So like just watching how far I've come, just trying to do the illustration and tell stories with my art. I mean, I've always loved the like panel to panel sequential stuff more than just drawing one picture and setting it aside, or being like, oh yeah, like here's the cover. I mean, the cover should be able to tell the story too, but I think the sequentials is where I've really kind of grown over the years.
I love that because it's so different from like just drawing. Like it's sequential work is a totally different, I guess, like approach to them being like, oh, I'm gonna make a print or I'm doing this one image or a cover or whatever. Like I think a lot of people forget. I mean, just in general, like the mainstream audience doesn't realize how different sequential work has to be processed and thought about versus just anything else, just
Mm.
a regular drawing.
I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
especially drawing. Oh, go ahead.
and how good you have to be at drawing everything, because
Yeah.
you are drawing everything in a comic, and in
Yeah,
sequential
and
art.
just consistency.
Yeah. It's
Like you might be
crazy.
able to draw a train once, but can you draw that 9 more times and not forget to draw, whatever it is that it also needs?
3 different angles too, you know what I mean? Like, and 4 different positions.
Oh yeah.
Can it go straight? Can it go speeding fast? Can it be like leaping and twisting through the air? Can you draw it damaged and crashing into like the side of something? Like there's so much to process that one thing. Oh man, Jeremy's so pencily. He's very Jim Lee influenced, and you see it so much like on how he does his layouts. I kind of wonder where I want to go next. This is one of the most challenging things I've had to like ink for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I wish I had I wish I had some way to print that out. I would have loved to try.
I'll send you the file just for you could do it in general,
Yeah.
just for fun.
I mean, I just haven't I've never really inked someone else's stuff either.
Oh,
Like I don't
I've
know,
only done it
because
once or
like
twice.
someone else has so much. Other people have so many different styles that like if I ink it, is it going to look like my work, or is it going to look like theirs?
Yeah, yeah, that's what's interesting too. What I'm trying to learn about something like this is like, how do I make it look like me, but still Jeremy's work at the same time?
Yeah, like do you? I mean, he didn't. We're trying to. I don't have the picture up in front of me. I guess I could just look at one of yours. But he's his lines seem very specific, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like all you got to do is really trace it or stick to what he's given you. I find that a lot of times when I draw, sometimes I'll like with my pages, like, oh, there'll just be a circle here because they're like, oh, I know what that is.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Mhm.
So like if I handed you something you'd be like, what's this circle? I'm like, oh, that's another character, or that's so and so, or whatever. And you'd be like, well, all right, fine, I'll try to figure that.
Give me a circle.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, doing it all on your own. Like, I wonder how. I think that's why we try to do this whenever we can. Sometimes, like Max, we started the show with Max doing a Doom Patrol piece, and we inked that, and that was a big lesson for me too.
Oh, that's
In
cool.
fact, I feel bad. Maybe I could drop it here. I should have dropped a file on the description for people to print this out and draw. Um, I didn't think about loading it up to Google Drive or anything and doing that.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll put it in our newsletter this week. That'll be fun. But yeah, no, we want to do this more often. It's kind of like it's interesting going over someone else's stuff and processing what they're doing and making it make sense and have it be clear too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think how it becomes my own through my inking is like employing the techniques that I love, you know? So like I'm using the structure of it, but then I'm also throwing in techniques to increase contrast so it's not just line art, you know, figuring out that black and white balance, adding shadows,
Yeah.
things like
Hmm.
that. But it's also super insightful for future reference, right? If you're a penciler and somebody else is inking your work, it's like, how much do you include in your pencils for an inker to understand what you want, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Plus, it's like, how do I approach their shadows? How do I see like he blacks out some spots that you could tell. How do I follow his pattern? Do I black it out my own way? Things like that. Like incorporating it's pretty fun. I'm probably not gonna finish. Oh, it's only 6:30. Okay, never mind. I thought it was like 6:45, almost 7. But no, there's a chance I might finish this or get close to finishing it.
Probably gonna do.
um, Gosh, what was I gonna ask you earlier, Karen? Who are some of the people that you feel like were really influenced by or tried to emulate or really, stuff started
I
to click
mean,
when you.
originally, you mentioned Jim Lee. Like growing up, it was X-Men and all that stuff. I was like, oh, I want to draw like that. Um, and Jim's always been like one of my favorites. Uh, to like kind of like when I started and just watching him draw and seeing like how he did it was always awesome for me. I spent a lot of time like trying to emulate that before realizing like just draw, just do it yourself. um and I find that over time you don't realize it, but like you just end up having a style because even though you're trying to do lines like other people, your brain isn't working like other people's. So I mean, Magnola for like inks is amazing because he just knows how to use light and darkness.
Yeah.
You don't need any in between colors. You have black and white, and it's awesome. Um, um, Sean Murphy is a huge influence on me as a recent.
Oh, cool.
And Jamie Hewitt with Tank Girl. I mean, I grew up like my Tank Girl's like torn to shreds because I love his art so much. And I spent a lot of time like, oh, I want these big expressions and these human characters, but they're not necessarily human, or they don't necessarily look human. Um, I love that stuff. Uh, I'm sure there's like 1,000 other artists. If I can, if I it, when I think about it, I'll say it. But
Yeah, no, those are awesome though. Yeah, Sean Murphy is always one of my favorites. His style just always very attracted to it. And I mean, Jim Lee's like such a big introduction to comics when you start reading. I feel like that's just like almost a staple.
oh yeah,
Like Hush was
like
one of my
if
first
you're
like
not
epic
emulating Jim
introductions.
Lee from the beginning, like you're not getting you're not understanding like like the basics of what comic book art should be.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I see that. Like the staples of like, you know, what Marvel and DC are is that style. Like
Yeah.
that's what it's all revolved around. Like if that's where you want to be, that's what you gotta go for.
Oh yeah. Well, like that was one of the things. Like my style would lend me more to like the Vertigo side of DC rather than like the superhero stuff.
I like to see
Which
that.
I would prefer to do anyway. Like if I get to draw John Constantine every day, or Swamp Thing or whatever, like I want to be over there doing that because it's like dark and gritty and kind of works with more of what I do.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I would love to see a Swamp Thing by you or Sandman.
Oh, Sandman, yeah. Like, oh, especially that first book of Sandman is so good.
So fun, yeah. I mean, I'm
trying
a Sandman fanboy. I love it all.
Oh,
Overture
yeah.
is probably my favorite because J.H. Williams doing the art there.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I've been like really obsessed with him the past year. His shit just blows my mind. It's hard to like comprehend sometimes.
Yeah. And then he was like, "Well, I don't think this really works for my style.
Yeah.
I don't think this story works with my style." And it's like, "What? Are you kidding me?" Like, no. That's exactly what we want to see.
Yeah. Do you keep up with comics? Are you reading anything, or how do
I'm
you
not
keep
currently
your?
reading anything. I have all these comics that I ordered and stuff like I got the Fennec book in the mail.
Nice.
Shout out to those
Nice one,
two,
Sadie.
Dom and yeah,
Lydia.
Lydia. Thank you. My brain.
I feel you.
Yeah, like I haven't gotten to read it yet. I haven't even opened the box yet. So I know I got
I've
it. I just haven't opened it. I have, but I also got I got a few more of those, and I also backed Sean Murphy's Zorro.
Oh,
So I
cool.
hope to read that at some point. But again, it's I have a baby now,
Yeah, yeah.
and
I
I have
get
a
you.
lot
I
of
mean,
work to do. I mean, that's the other thing. I feel like, oh, I have all this. It's not like I have a lot of free. I had a lot of free time in general, but for a long time, it was like okay, I want to sit. I'm going to sit and draw, and now it's like, well, I have to sit and draw. I don't have a choice.
that's awesome though. Like I respect the hell out of that. And I mean, you know, we get to. It's cool that we have so many friends making comics, and that we have a constant reading pile too. Like I'd rather that I always have something to read I have to get to than missing out on all this, you know? So I feel you
Oh
there,
yeah.
though. Oh, Dan Price says Sandman's so good. P. Craig Russell's Ramadan was gold, dude. Yeah, that was at issue 50 or something like that. Such a good story. He also did the Dream Hunters with him as well, and that's a phenomenal
Oh, Dream
book.
Hunter.
Hmm. There's our mono one, and then there's the Russell one, and they're both insane. Live on Saturday. Yeah, thanks for the shout out. Yeah, we just had Dom on a couple weeks ago. You guys should go check out that episode as
Oh, I
well.
gotta check that out.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Dom's great. You guys are awesome.
Sorry for forgetting your names, guys.
It
My brain
happens.
is like fried again. I've been drawing
Plus,
all
like
day.
talking and drawing gets real difficult too. Like,
Yeah, actually, I tend to. I mean, if I wasn't talking, this would be done. But it's
yeah,
fine because like you guys have a lot more to draw than I do.
yeah, we have so much to.
So
I'm trying to get some of these intricate lines done so I could just black out some spots. My little dip pen was like hurting my hand. It's so thin.
I'm only using
Yeah,
one
that's kind
pen
of what
right
I'm
now.
trying to do. I'm just trying to get some areas blacked out so I know what I need to render and not render. And now we're going to be really quiet because we realized how much work we have to do.
I know, yes. Yeah, so we're making kind of catch up. Yeah, all the smoke up here, dude. Like I still have to black out. I don't know if I want to do like just lines or take out the
Yes.
brush and just black them out.
What is this?
Yeah, I'm so hyped that you had fun doing the remainders though, dude. Because like talking to John about the script and working with him on that, and it was just so great seeing it from script and idea to like what it's turned into.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's pretty much like one of my favorite things to draw. I love the characters. I love the story. I'm excited to do more on it. This
Exciting.
is.
Are we gonna see you at IC3 this year?
I hope so. I was hoping to like do my own table and everything, but it just kind of depends on time and money, and I have a severe shortage of that.
Understandable. Yeah, I'll be popping in. John might pop by too. So, dude, it was crazy seeing these pages. I think last year at that show, right?
Yeah, and I think they were only penciled at that time.
Yeah, I
I don't
think
even think
so.
I had them like inked yet. So
Life on Saturn's. I'll stick around and be one of the last remainders on the stream. Hey, one of the last remainders. Yeah, I know you. Dom is always at the drawing board too.
yeah, I'm working on actually when we were IC3, made a contact with another guy that was working on a book, and that's the book I'm working on now. It's a pretty big book. It's a musical, which I think is pretty cool.
Right.
And so like when you get to certain pages, you like scan the QR code and listen to the song.
Oh, I know. Who's the guy writing it? I know this dude. We
Uh,
talked at
his name,
IC3.
his name is Peter Galfrin.
Peter Galford. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, dude, it's a
Yeah.
brilliant idea.
Yeah, and the first book is awesome. I'm really happy that I'm getting to work on the second one. It's a lot of work, I feel, because it's kind of not the first time, but like he's very specific. He's like, here's what I want to see. So like a lot of little changes as I go, which is fine. I mean, it's just not something that I've been totally used to. Because most of the time it's just like, oh, I had a different picture in mind, but what you've got is really great.
Mm-hmm.
I had to walk away for a minute.
You're all good.
Yeah, so like it's different. Not that like people can't be more picky. I'm like if John wants to, he can be like, oh, change this, change that, change this, and that's part of the process, you know. Like that's why I send him what the picture, or I show him what the pencils are first before we ink. Because if I'm going to do it traditionally, it's a lot harder to change later. But that's why like Peter and I keep in touch, and you know go back and forth with all these pages to make sure that everything's going to be like nice and crisp before I ink everything. But it's been
Yeah,
a
I've been
lot of
wanting to
fun.
get him on Inspired Ink for a while. I've had him on my list for quite a bit. I can't wait to talk to him. So it's really cool. I didn't know you're involved with him. It's more encouraging.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, real nice guy. Really nice guy.
Yeah,
So
he's
cool.
great to talk to. He's like, he's got such great visions of like how he wants, like how he sees his work and what he's been working on. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, not everyone has like the vision in their head of exactly what they want. And it's been really cool to kind of work on things like that.
How do you feel like that on the collaborative level? Like, does it feel like a job, like just a gig you're doing, or do you feel like the passion and the um collaboration is there as well with being so specific?
Well, the collaboration's definitely there. Because because he's like, oh yeah, like you can change these things. I know the characters are already kind of solidified because there's a first book. You know, I'm the second artist to work on this, but he's like, do what you want with it. You know, I had 2 new characters that I got to introduce, so then I did get to create those characters. But like, if I have an idea or if I see something, like I usually question it, you know, oh, why does this character have this, or what's the purpose of that, so that we can come to an agreement on like how, like what my thought process is versus what his thought process was. And usually it's like really simple, just to be like, oh, I like that, oh, I like that, oh, I'll change it, or I'll go back, or I don't feel like it's like a job that I don't, it's still my art, it's still my
Yeah.
story as much as it is his. So it's I think it's really fun. I think he's fun to work with.
That's cool to hear, because it's like, a lot of artists and a lot of collaborators, they can lose sight of that sometimes. And like when you're collaborating, but you're still like you're now sharing the vision and wanting their vision to come to life. Like, I feel like it's great for an artist to have that same kind of level of excitement.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Because I know like some gigs can sometimes feel like, oh, this is just, I gotta draw this because I need the money. you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And it could feel like that. I mean, but it is based on mindset. It's like, as long as I'm doing it because I like it. Like if I didn't like the story, I'd be like, no, it's not for me. But the story's there, you know, the characters are fun to draw, and it's been a real interesting experience, because a lot of times you draw the characters based on what you think the writer means. And this, it's like a lot of times it's a song or whatever, and you don't want to just have people standing there with their mouths open. So
mhm.
like making it interesting, and using what is, give me 1 second, I'm sorry, I have to walk away
That's
just
good.
for us.
Totally good. Um, Thanks for making some progress there.
Yeah. How are you feeling about inking Jeremy's page?
There's some stuff I'm like decisive about, like how to do like the smoke and whatnot. I'm kind of playing around with a couple options, but I'm gonna be blacking some of it out and not all of it. Um, I guess just like considering if I want to hit every line that he's penciled or not, and how to like
Yeah,
really work with some of the shadows.
Yeah, I'm also trying to figure out like what some stuff is, you know.
Yeah, I was looking at the chest. I thought that was really wild too.
It's mostly this area down here. Like,
I
I
was
know you
about to
can't.
point out like it looks like a radio on his
It's
badge, and
right
like,
below the radio. Right
oh, I
below the
see.
radio.
I
I'm
haven't
really
really looked
struggling.
in that spot. Yeah, I feel like if that's just like folds in the fabric, I would say
Yeah.
that's how I'm gonna do
There's
it.
like there's like a belt or something right here, but then
Mm-hmm.
it looks like there's
Right?
another belt right next to it.
Like cowboy.
Yep, I guess so.
Yep.
All right, let me think. I gotta think about what I'm doing here. The light is coming
Yeah,
from
this is gonna take me a day or so to
up.
finish for
Okay,
sure.
buddy. All right.
Light is up here. Okay. But also light's up here. Um hmm.
Okay, dear.
I'm not great
Sorry,
at lighting either.
my cat got my attention for a moment.
Oh,
I needed to.
dude, I understand completely. I have three of them. They could be dastardly and really just get close to destroying some stuff.
My firstborn.
Firstborn. Are you more of a cat or a dog person, or kind of just a mix?
Kind of a mix. I've always been a dog person, but I rescued my cat from my warehouse a couple of years ago. He was a kitten, and the mom used to hang out with me while I did my work, and then she had a party of three,
Oh wow.
and I took one home, and he's been with me ever since. And a lot of times he sits on my lap while I try to work, and
Oh, yeah, it gets
it's
difficult sometimes.
I'm like, it's great that you're here, but also I can't get any work done. Sorry, buddy.
Almost every podcast I do, I have a cat just coming up, making an appearance.
I'm like, come on, buddy. No, but I
Life on
heard him
Saturn says
yowling,
you're
so I was
killing
like,
it with
oh,
those.
are you inside, outside, whatever? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's adorable. Life on Saturn said, "You're killing it with those cowboys. I find those particular hats tough." I'm a little. Wow, this is new for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because I pencil so differently, you know.
Yeah, I was able to follow your pencils a lot more. Um, but I guess like stylistically, it makes more sense in my brain.
What it is it's like shadow mapping almost, you know?
Yeah,
Like there's so much in the pencils here that it's very hard to tell what is what specifically, you know. Versus if you map out your big shapes and your shadows, you can go in and add that detail. Unless you
Oh,
are like hyper specific. There's like a weird middle ground where it's like there's so much that it doesn't make sense.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I know what you mean
which
there.
isn't a knock at Jeremy, right? Like in his brain, he knows what he's looking at,
Exactly. Yeah.
so he's
I mean,
able
it's
to
just like what
execute
Kieran
it.
was saying, like, being like, oh, I mean, I know that circle means that's a new person, where we don't know his like legend in his head on how he sees stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, like it's making me like have to visualize certain things like in a fun way.
For sure.
Yeah. I guess it's time to take my. Oh.
We should make some of this stand out a bit more too.
Looks stupid. What the heck did I do?
Are you a whiteout user, Kieran, or
Yeah.
are you?
Well, yeah, and then I have like just acrylic paint that I'll like. Oh, this is a big mess up. Like, let me just paint it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a. Oh, I'll fix
there's
that
some
later. Oh, I'll fix that later.
Yeah, there's some people that really aren't. They're like, no, I won't do it.
Well, my thing is like, as long as the whiteout holds up to get it scanned, that's all that matters. Because if it messes
Oh
it up
yeah,
later, it's no big deal. Like, whatever. Because, yeah, you get it scanned, then I can color it or whatever. No problem.
What is your process for like? Do you color on originals? Do you scan it every time to?
I scan everything. I know my local guy. Like he's got a like a cardstock paper or like a cover paper or something that he uses. So I scan it, make a copy onto the card paper or whatever, and then I paint those.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So I have an
Oh, that
original I have the original inks and I have an original of the colors.
Color. Nice. Because yeah, you don't do anything digital really, huh?
No, once in a while I do. It just takes me forever. And digital is like, it's like such a long process because, first of all, I only just learned that you can control Z, which is like to undo.
Yeah.
Instead of
So
like
you don't
taking the
press
mouse
red.
and clicking the back button or whatever. Yeah, so like that's been like a huge help, but it also like, I don't know, there's nothing, I can't feel it. There's nothing there. There's no like way to like change how much I press down in order to change the weight. I don't know. Like it's just like a weird process where I'm like, I spend half the time just going back and erasing part of the line so that they look right. I don't know. I don't really like digital at all. I mean, I like it when other people do it. I can't wrap my head around it.
I get that. Totally get that. I was messing with my iPad the other night and I just like was at it for a while and I was like, I can't. Maybe I got to get that like tip and paper stuff that makes me feel like I'm drawing on paper more. Or, I don't know, but
Yeah, I've heard of that, but I don't know how it works with like my computer is like it's a laptop that like folds all the way back, so it
oh
becomes a
yeah,
tablet. But I don't know how. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to buy. I don't know what to get. Half the time, I'm just like, forget it.
just
I'm
do
just
it.
gonna
Do
do
it
it
how you know.
traditionally anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like if it doesn't bother anyone else, I'm gonna do it the way I know how to do it.
yeah, exactly. And that's the best thing you can do. Like whatever works best for you. I feel. I love that though, because I mean, your traditional stuff is just mind. I mean, like Jeremy's work is just mind blowing.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's challenging as hell, which is awesome. Like I've always wanted to ink something that really makes you like, okay, how do you ink?
Like that's
Irishman
real,
301.
like inking, like being able to ink someone else's work.
I can see that. Yeah, like it's that's like the job, you know, literally the job.
Yeah.
Irishman 301, which yeah, I guess Jeremy, love you both. My brain definitely works differently. You guys are doing a wonderful job. Yeah, dude, fucking, it's it's interesting. I love it, and I mean, I stare at your images all the time, Jeremy, and so like I'm always trying to like digest them. It's definitely feels like more of an advanced piece than something a beginner would start with trying to ink over. It has like brownish hair too. We're just strands like that.
Hmm. Yeah, it's tricky. I'm like, well,
Yeah, there's like a lot of decisions to be made. It's crazy how much is mapped out, but how much like there is to figure out still, if that makes sense.
yeah, definitely. I'm just trying to get in the shadows so I know what I'm working with, you know?
Yeah. I'm kind of going for specific regions.
Because once I figure out the shadows, I'm good.
I don't know if I want to black out these like smoke clouds or if I want to just have these lines kind of the way I'm doing them.
I'm also trying to leave room for like washes to go in as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I really want to get an ink wash pen so bad.
Are you using markers or are you using ink wash, Kieran?
I'm just using a pen right now. I do have my ink that I'm gonna pull out in a
For
second.
the what are you using for the grays? Is it hatching for the grays?
Yeah, just hatching. So
Oh shit.
and
Okay.
like I should just pull out like a different marker because right now because it's so small that it doesn't make any sense for how I'm using it. But like because I'm trying to like fill a whole section. Like I want all of this
Yeah.
to be black, and I haven't and now I'm gonna just scribble for a while. But I tend to just just use whatever I have. Like I've got a permanent marker, whatever.
Yeah.
Like it works. I do.
No, definitely.
I have different brushes and things, or brush pens and things, but I don't know. Sometimes they work. Sometimes they're not. Doesn't really matter. Oh, I do like this pen, but that's the same side. So what's actually
Hold on one second. Hi, baby.
That was cute.
I'm still in my stream. It's okay. It's okay. I love you very much. I'll talk to you in a second, okay? Bye, baby. All right. Milo landed safely.
Nice. Oh yeah.
All right.
Sweet.
Hmm. All right. I need some white out. I made a decision and then I changed that decision almost immediately.
I think the hardest thing about this piece is like not getting impatient. Like it takes a little while to feel like I'm making progress.
Right.
And I'm learning a lot though, like just the way he's making decisions and like adding stuff. It's really interesting. I still don't know how I want to do this fucking smoke though. Like I'm almost happy with it. It's just not how coming out how I kind of wanted. I think I needed thinner lines.
Are you talking about the like stuff at the top?
Yeah.
I'll do mine real quick so you can see what I do.
I wanted to like have these lines there and then like black out half of each bubble. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just going to do mine in gray wash so it doesn't compete with the letters.
Oh, you blacked out all of your letters. Nice. I kind of just did a line through like one side of it, you know?
I'm going to go through and edit the letters cuz they need a little bit more like weight to be more readable, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to do this first.
Let's see here. We're all concentrating. It's one of those moments.
Yep.
It happens every stream.
Yeah, I
It's
feel
just
like a lot of times you shut up and try to decide where you're going.
yeah. Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
oh, yeah,
I
like
think I was
where am
trying to figure out how to make the lettering pop, and I couldn't figure out a way to do that a bit more.
What's the like hardest part of the process for you? Like for me it's layouts. And then the second is pencils because like making decisions on a shot like takes forever to find just like the right thing for the storytelling. And then pencils is like defining that stuff. And I also like get impatient because I want to go ink it and just get it done, you know? So like what's the most difficult or like time consuming part for you?
The layouts is definitely. I have the most fun doing layouts because it's like, oh, how can I make this interesting? And then
Right.
the next thing I actually enjoy doing is the inking. So the longest part is always the pencils, but that's why, like I said earlier, draw a circle. You know what it is. It's informative to me, just not to anyone else. But I found
Yeah.
that yeah, I think the longest part is probably pencils. Well, especially now because it's working with working with other writers. They're like, well, I want to see how that's actually going to look rather than I don't want to see the circles. I could draw circles myself. I could do that layout for you. That's not what I want to
Yeah.
see. I want to see the detail.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay. But I love inking. It's my favorite part of anything. Just making sure that
Yeah. Same.
oh man, that's where my detail comes out. That's where my depth comes out. That's where everything makes sense. I've always wanted to do a black and white book because I want to focus on making sure that I can do make the picture make the pages work without thinking about color. Because I do find that I'm always thinking about, oh, okay, leave this way because it's going to get colored anyway, or leave this that way. And I don't want to have to think about that. I want to just be able to ink it and make it
How heavy?
however heavy I want. All right.
It's that you have one contrast to focus on, and it's gray, you know?
Yeah.
So pulling something like that off is much trickier than pulling off something in color.
Right. Well, and it's interesting because sometimes you color it, you take a picture, you check through the Instagram filters to see what you like. Oh, it looks good in black and white. Oh, it looks like crap in black and white because there's no contrast. Sometimes you want it to look good no matter what, and I don't think it always
Right.
does. But
No. So all those neon monster drawing things that I've been doing lately, they look really bad in black and white because the neons are all the same level of brightness. The only
right,
difference is in that hue. So it's very shocking to the eye because it's so bright, but in black and white it's not that good. It's interesting.
Tanner Ogle says, I feel that sometimes I feel like losing sight of refining the line work when I'm going to color lighter.
I'm actually trying to get more painterly in a way. That's one of my goals is to don't view inking as line art. View it as values and shapes.
yeah, shadows and
Right. Light and shadow.
Light and shadow.
Yeah, so it's interesting trying to reform my mind that way because it's easy to follow lines, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I can trace that. No problem.
Do you feel like there's a benefit to tracing in general? To study or to grow, or do you feel like mimicking is stronger than tracing?
I mean, when I first started just trying to like figure out how to draw superheroes and comic books and stuff, like high school or before, like I know that I've got books that have like pencil divots because I drop a piece of paper over top when I traced it. But that's really just to get an idea of like what these shapes are. Like, oh, that like how does musculature work on a character, you know, with a skin tight shoe or whatever. Like how does all that work? And I felt like, you know, way back when that was really helpful. But I mean, I only trace if I need to make corrections now.
Nice.
Because
I kind of
I think that tracing in the beginning is more than okay and totally normal. I think what I would recommend is learning to like trace with your eye, right? And learning like observational drawing skills and things like that. Because then you can once you learn how to measure and like take proportions and do that stuff, you can essentially trace without actually tracing, which forces you to make decisions that are going to help you to grow, help you construct things on your own, things like that. But that's a whole journey, you know what I mean? Like that's a lot to figure out.
It's interesting because I don't trace stuff, but like I will if I'm like looking at a drawing and I'm trying to like copy it in that sense, like redraw it myself, I'll like trace it with my pencil, like hover over it so I could like get the feel and then I feel like I could draw it. So it's not like I'm like air tracing almost more often than never tracing.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with tracing as long as you're learning. Like
Yeah, right? Yeah.
like you don't want to trace something and then be like, "That's mine." And you're like, "Well, that's not
Yeah.
yours because you just traced it." But if it's yours and then you're retracing it, then that might be a different story. But yeah.
So I was focusing on that part. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I think it's
And
I
also
think
like
it's
for the sake of studying, right? There's no problem with tracing as well.
Right.
yeah. Oof. I was like, I'm not gonna use my brush pen for this, and then I was like, no, there's a lot of spots I could just use my brush and make some quick progress.
Yeah, the lighting for sure and getting all the blacks. I'm
Yeah.
not going to do that with a nib.
It's starting to take shape for sure. I'm enjoying it better.
Sure.
That's the thing with drawing too. I've come to learn more and more is like you just got to keep doing it. You can't like just a quarter through or halfway through be like, oh, this sucks. I should stop. It's like, no, you just got to keep on finishing it. Like,
Yeah, you got to do it. If you give up halfway through, then what? Then you're not learning anything. You're
right.
not learning how
Yeah.
to fix that problem later. You're not learning how to, you know. The thing is, like, you can always do it again. Like, there's no one
Yeah.
stopping you from, like, just redoing it. Like,
And it's better to finish like a bad piece and then like doing it again than like just stopping and being like, oh well, I'm just gonna try it. Like unless I'm like warming up or doing a quick like thumbnail type of like how am I gonna lay this out type of thing, I'll finish the drawing no matter what.
right.
Because even through the inking phase, sometimes I'm like halfway through, I'm like, I don't like how this is turning out. I don't know if it's gonna be good, but it's like, all right, well, how do I correct it? Like, how do I make it look good if I'm halfway done and I don't like it now? How can I fix it?
Well, I find like a lot of times I'm like, oh, I don't like this at all, but I know that if I keep going, I'll fix it. Or I
Yeah.
know that if I keep going, I'm not there yet. It it doesn't look right because I haven't finished the piece.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's the ugly stage.
Yeah, at this stage.
Right.
Oof. You know, I always have coffee right before spilled ink or like during it, and I did not today. And I'm feeling it. Like I regret not having a cup of coffee. I can tell this is like taking its toll. Oh, dude, that cat looks great, Max. Fucking dope. Yeah, I
We're
like
getting
slowed down.
somewhere.
Yeah, this was gonna take me a bit. This one was challenging for me for sure. I love the challenge though.
Yeah.
At least I
It's
have
the
something to work
challenge of
on like over the weekend. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. No, I'm kidding. No, but we knew the challenge of to asking Jeremy to do pencils. Like I knew that was like, all right, this is gonna be a tough one. Like it's gonna be intricate. It's gonna be detailed.
It's gonna look awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm excited to see what he does when he inks it. I think he's gonna do it Sunday
Yeah.
night or something.
Did you say is he going to be on inking it, or is he just going to do it himself?
Oh, he's just gonna do it himself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's gonna probably
I'm
live stream
excited.
it from his Instagram.
I wonder if he's learning from what we're doing.
Yeah,
I
getting some
would be
ideas.
for sure. I'd be taking notes. I'm like, don't do that.
I wouldn't have done it that way. I wouldn't have done it that way.
No, I'd probably be taking notes. I'd be like, oh, that's a great spot to black out, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's fun, like seeing a piece like this slowly come to life, though. Like because it feels so impossible at first, and then once it starts happening, you're like, oh, okay, all right, this is good.
Well, it's funny because you see the pencils and you're like, the pencils are very cool. And so you're like, wow,
Yeah,
this is going to be a great piece. And then you start
yeah,
and you're just like,
it's-
yeah, I'm so excited for how this is going to look. And then you reach a point that you're like, this is the mess. I don't know what to
yeah.
do.
Dude, that's exactly
You're
how
like,
I
this
feel
feels
so much of it.
terrible. But you just need to like put more ink on the page to see it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm funny about these bubbles right here.
It's funny because in my head, I'm like comparing that kind of process to like movie making. I've been watching a lot of like documentaries and stuff on like ILM and Lucasfilm,
Mhm.
and just the magic tricks that they pull off in order to make something look good on the screen.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's
I
crazy.
didn't realize like how much art was used in Star Wars in general.
Well, like matte paintings in general are amazing. Like when they're done so well, you don't even know that that's like,
Painting.
oh, that scene can exist. Yeah. It's like, oh, wow, that's a painting? Wow.
Yeah.
Have you seen how they did the Mandalorian?
No.
So
No,
they
but I
created
mean,
this
I've seen the. Oh, go ahead.
so they created this thing called the Spectrum, and essentially they created like a 360 soundstage with screens, and so they can just project whatever location they want and then fill in the space with like boxes and like a desk, right? But
Oh.
what it does is it lets the actor like actually interact with that environment and like feel like they're in it rather than like just putting them on a like a blue stage that's all going to be CG'd later.
Oh, that's cool as shit.
And so it's like a
Oh,
mix
right,
of
right,
like
right.
practical and digital. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really
And
cool.
like
I
it
didn't know.
works with the lighting too, right? It's all like, oh, all the lighting's already there because the background changes, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
and
how that works.
they use additional lights too, but
Right.
yeah, it's all interactive and like looks great on the camera. And you have to like make all those decisions prior to filming, which
Yeah.
Oh
creates
wow,
those
yeah.
like little accidents rather than like everything being fixed in CG in post.
Love that.
Fix it in post.
I think I'm finally fixing the smoke how I want it. I feel like I've spent so much time just trying to figure that part out. So you someone that watches TV while they draw, or listen to music, or podcasts, or
I listen to, well, it depends on the day, but I usually listen to uh like books on tape.
oh,
um
interesting. Not even like
like
Audible.
Audible.
It's on. Oh,
Yeah. I use Audible a lot. I listen to so many books, but a lot of times they're just kind of they're just there as noise.
yeah,
Sometimes like a lot of books I find that I listen because I love the person who's doing the speaking.
oh, interesting. That's cool.
Like I'll listen I listen to like a lot of sci-fi or like fantasy and stuff. And um with sci-fi, I listen to like Orson Scott Card, and he has one guy that always does his books, and it's Stephen Rudnicki, and he's just got a great voice, and I could listen to it all day, and sometimes I do because he reads the
Sure.
books. So, um, yeah, so there's that, and then yeah, I listen to podcasts once in a while. I find I want to pay more attention to podcasts, so it kind of throws me off. Um, And with books, it's like, oh, I'll just go back and listen to that chapter if I missed it. And with podcasts, I'm like, whatever. It's already. I've missed the joke. I'm too far. They've moved on. You know.
Yeah. That's cool. I probably listen to music more than anything, or audibles. Yeah, I do listen to a lot of books, to be honest. Especially if I drive in the morning.
I love to listen to music, but a lot of times, well, I found that like now when I hear those songs, I just see myself doing those drawings. And I'm like, now, yeah, and it's really weird. I mean, it does the same thing with listening to books sometimes. Like if I went back and I listened to a chapter, I'm like, I know what I was drawing at that time. Which is really weird. But yeah, music I think kind of throws me off because I don't always want to think about what I was working on. Or it'll remind me to, oh, I got to go back and fix something.
Yeah, that makes sense. I love that though.
I'm going to hit this with white. Let's see. I'm going to hit is white. I'm going to fix this. I love this.
If you had to like choose between pencils, inks, and coloring to be your like, you got a gig and they wanted you to do one of those, what would you do?
It'd be inking.
I think I'd pick inking too. Even though with pencils you'd have the most freedom, but like inking's like the most fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my thought. It's like, yeah, I'm such a control freak though sometimes, like I'm oh, this panel needs to be like this certain way, or I'm like, oh, you're missing something in the story by not showing this or whatever, right? And I also like want to tell the stories I want to tell. But the process of inking is just so much fun. And like I think that like if I gave myself purely permission to like just ink for 8 hours a day rather than like do the heavy process of layouts and pencils and all that stuff, I'd be able to just do so much more.
Oh yeah. Get more done. I find like the book I'm working on now, I have corrections I still need to make for the pencils, but because he's already given me like, oh, you get the thumbs up to do, these, pages 1 through whatever. Now I'm like, oh, I get to ink before making correction. Like I should be making the corrections, but I want to ink so bad. So I go and ink pages and then I'm falling behind on other things. But I mean, I guess, yeah, I'd rather just, I'd rather ink, but if you don't make the corrections, then you don't get the ink.
And it's funny for me to say that I'd rather ink because I'm working on a book that is exclusively pencils right now, too. I don't know. It's just so much fun to ink.
I mean, I guess if you're treating your inks like pencil, it doesn't really work that way, though, right?
No. Yeah. It's all about finding your process, right? And you only find it by like messing around and seeing what comes out.
Yeah. Well, so Russ Braun, who does The Boys, all of his are done with pencil.
Oh,
So
wow.
like they're just pencil, and then he brings them into the computer and turns it to black. So like what, like I don't know. Like to me that's kind of crazy, but his stuff is really good too. So
Um,
like, yeah, I don't think there's anything
Eric
to blame about it.
Powell, Eric Powell, who does the Goon.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
ton of pencils. Corbin does a ton of pencils.
Oh, really?
Leaves
Yeah.
pencils.
Fucking did that.
Like this.
Okay. I should finish him before I do anything else. I'm like trying to move to the background because I don't want to deal with the problems on the figure.
Yeah, I'll you there. I need to finish the top of it still. I just haven't. I need to read more Corbin stuff. He did this insane Hulk story that I read one time, and that's when I really discovered him. But I just got a copy of Den, that like story that was in like the heavy metal movie too. Um, so I'm really excited to read that. I didn't realize I was Richard Corbin.
I read a Corbin story that was based off of native tribes here in Alaska.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's called Rat God.
Really? That's cool as shit.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was based off of the native tribes here until I finished the book, and then I was like, "Oh my god!"
It's got to be fun to be in Alaska.
Yeah, I mean it
I mean,
is.
I talk about moving there a lot.
It's interesting. It's a very interesting place to live.
I mean, I lived in Brooklyn for so long, and now I live out on Long Island, and it's definitely it's a whole new world over here.
I didn't realize you were a New York,
Yep.
another New York artist.
Yeah, New York. Yeah, I moved down to the city in like 2011. And I was like, I'm going to be a comic book artist. I'm going to do this and that. And then I started working for a contracting company, building office furniture. And the closest I got to doing any comic book related things was building new cubicles at DC Comics when they were at 1700 Broadway.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was awesome, but that was a long
So
time
that I'll
ago.
like tell you like Wow, I came here to do this, and I should be in these offices.
Yeah, but then they're like, okay, like they don't get, like they're not, they
Yeah,
don't
they
care.
don't know.
They're not the artists. They're just like people working at their desks, and yeah. I'm like, man, I wish I want to work here. I want to do this. I want to do that. And they're like, all right, well, get your stuff together and, you know,
Well, you better
Show
impress
it to the
us.
right people. Yeah.
yeah, talk to the right people. But their whole reception area looked like the Daily Planet, and it was awesome. Like you walked in, the reception desk was, the big Daily Planet globe, and uh, there was Superman and Lois Lane in there, and one of the conference rooms had Batman just standing in the corner. It was cool.
They're all based in California now, though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
unfortunately.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they moved.
Comic shops moved out of New York.
They moved in 2016, 2015,
Yeah, something like that.
something like that.
I think Dark Horse is up in Washington, right?
I think they were like Portland or something like that.
Or yeah, Portland.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to let that dry for a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Just gonna
I
dirty
think
this
this
up.
hat is just too white. I hope I don't mess up by doing what I'm doing.
Can't mess it up. Only happy accidents.
Only happy accidents. It's a good thing to remind yourself of too. Like honestly, just let it happen.
Yep. Like once I started using a brush on this, I was like, oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh well, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
I
like,
did
oh,
the same thing when I started using my brush. I was like, well, I said at the beginning of the stream I'm not going to use a brush, and I'm using a fucking brush.
I was like, I wanted to do like clean lines and everything, and then I'm like, oh wait,
Yeah.
he's supposed to live in garbage, so we're dirtying him up a bit.
Like one random hair in my brush. That's just oh my god. You know when you got that one flicker that's just making a random line when you strike down.
Looks better. Better. Oh wait, I need to fix this. Not click. Where's my other pen? This one more? Oh, it's probably not working.
I think a huge part of inking, though, right, is like being okay playing around, and like if you just because you've covered every like inch of your paper doesn't mean that you shouldn't go back in and like edit stuff. It's like that last like 5%,
Oh
being
yeah.
okay working through that last very difficult 5% that is going to push your piece of, way further than you thought.
Ooh, that helps.
Resign this.
Oh crap! Oh, you need to like stretch because you've been just like hunched over like so intensely. Like, oh, Max is looking great. I need to get a wash. I swear. There's like a few spots I would love to try that out on with this one.
I'm so scared of this arm for some reason. I need to just put something on it.
I don't know.
Oh, I hope what I'm about to do doesn't mess it up. If it works, I think it'll
That's
work
okay.
out. If not, there's whiteout. You know.
Yep.
I don't know where my other whiteout is.
What do you use for whiteout?
I don't know what the company. It's like a small blue.
Presto. This guy?
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. And I
Yeah.
don't know where to put it.
I love that stuff.
The other one I use is I like to use these things and just like make big flat square areas because you can also draw right back over that. But I don't know where that is. And I've got like this one big whatever.
Cool.
But I don't like this at all. It's kind of a pain in the ass.
I got a big jar of Pro White, and I've yet to use it.
Yeah, I gotta. I need a better a whiteout delivery system.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that thing, but I haven't found it since I moved my studio, and that's probably been about 4 months. So. No, it's also have.
Oof,
All of
not
this
finish
out.
this tonight.
I like that
That's
way
really just
better.
like crunch time. I do like the direction I was able to like work on this piece though. Like I did it right, you know what I mean? For being a left-handed. Like this was definitely the first piece I've done that was like in order.
Uh-huh.
And it gets me to like touch up stuff as I feel like I've completed it already.
How much time do we have left? Oh, we only have like 10 minutes.
Yeah, we're pretty much ready to start wrapping up, to be honest.
Well, let's see how much background I can get done.
Yeah, I'm trying to just see what I could just wrap up for tonight. I'm definitely gonna finish this weekend though. This was an interesting piece to come back to since I really haven't drawn since we wrapped up Spilled Ink. I mean Inktober.
Yeah.
Really haven't done anything.
I never get to do Inktober. There's all like really great, like, you know, Battober, Pinuptober, or whatever. Like everyone's got their own, and I never have the time to just like sit and draw my own stuff. I mean, I should just do it when I have the time, but I'm like, oh no, I should be working. I should be working. I should be doing the drawing that that I'm getting paid
That
for,
needs
or
to
the
be done.
painting I'm getting
Yeah,
paid for. Yeah.
makes sense. I feel
And
that,
then
you
I'm like,
know.
oh, by the time I'm done with that,
Yeah, I'm the same way. Absolutely the same way. I don't really sketchbook. I've made a point to start sketchbooking more, but I also like just do it at my work when there's downtime.
oh yeah.
As a way to get that out.
Well, you guys want to do some spotlights to wrap up a little bit?
Sure.
Let's see here. Can get this up.
Nick, you two go first. I want to finish up this little area.
Let's just watch Kieran for a minute then.
I'm just put my signature on it.
Nice.
I mean, I can. Oh yeah, no, I'm still working. I'm still working. Let's make this button, and I'll do those more scribbles. Move it closer.
Oh, dude, that's sick. That's so good. So we're gonna. I think we're talking about tossing this in with the Kickstarter package for anybody who backs the Kickstarter. Somebody might randomly win this. I mean, if I
Oh yeah.
randomly won it, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm kidding. Dude, that's so sick. Dude, congrats, man. Congrats on the Kickstarter. Congrats on the book. Like, I hope everyone goes and checks out. It is in the Policy Comics book, so I'm shamelessly kind of promoting that. But
Oh,
it's your and John's creation, and you guys did an astonishing thing. I'm so lucky to be even somewhat included or help promote it. It's a fabulous book. The Kickstarter goes until November 30th. there's some great stuff you guys could get in there from John's other book, The Routine, issue 1 and 2, to some garbage from John, or a sketch card from Kieran. If you like what you see here, dude, you could get a sketch from Kieran, or you could buy some of the original art from the remainders, or you just buy the book. It's always an option too.
Well, yeah.
In general. But Kieran, do you wanna give any quick shout outs?
Um,
Where can people find your stuff?
Oh, KX Quinn sketchbook and KX Quinn, and just KX Quinn on Instagram. You can also check out my website, kxquinn.com. And if you want to find some of my books, we just did a compendium issue of the Condry, so issues 1 through 5, plus a couple other artists. There's a couple other artists did side stories that are all in that book. That's at legacycomics.com. We have a color version, which is all done traditionally, like my stuff, and then like I usually do. And there's a black and white version that's just been like, it's called the noir version. It's I also have Legend of the Night Owl. That's another book that I worked on. There's 2 issues of that at Legacy, and I'm assuming you can still get Death Wish at lesserknowncomics.com.
Indeed, you can.
Yeah. I think that's it. I mean, what else do I have?
And just check out your Kickstarter.
Yeah, check out my Kickstarter. Yeah. Yeah.
Sick. Well, this is as far as I got. This is all I got done here. Let me get some light on it.
Damn, that looks awesome.
It's fun. It was pretty challenging, not gonna lie. We'll send a copy. If you guys are subscribed to our newsletter, we'll make sure it goes into one of our next newsletters that goes out as a little bonus. That way y'all can try inking Jeremy's work yourself. And then you could post it up. We'd love to see how you guys interpret his pencils. And it's a great exercise. And you could do insane stuff. Like, let's see what Max is up to right here. Oh, man.
Wow.
Whoa.
Look at that.
Dude, that's insane.
Yeah. I'm probably going to do this background with wash only and some whiteout, and then do the train, and then go back in with some whites and try and balance some stuff. But I had fun with it. It's certainly interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, I love seeing what you did. Do that, yeah. Wash pin next to my arsenal.
I'm assuming that's a t-shirt, huh? That's sick.
What?
He's got like a t-shirt on underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm actually pretty proud of how the face came out, with like a little bit of like the weird underlighting that happens when you're wearing a hat,
Yeah, it's sick.
Because I don't draw light faces this way at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's one thing I got worked on.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's like, oh, I'll just wait for color to do any of that kind of lighting. And
yeah, for
Love
sure.
it.
Yeah, that looks fantastic. Wow.
Nice, guys. How cool. Love seeing them together. Yeah, I gotta finish mine up this weekend. That's gonna be fun to do. Get me to do some But awesome. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Don't forget, Comics Wellspring for all your comic book needs. We have a lot of cool updates coming out. You guys are gonna be really hyped for some upcoming announcements. And we're gonna be talking about IC3 very soon too, and revealing even more about that. And also check out ApolloCityComics.com, where you could buy all of the Apollo City Comics catalog, and we're gonna be tossing some merch up there very, very soon from the creators, from us, and all sorts of stuff. And we have some new releases going on. But of course, our biggest release, of course, is the remainders. Check out the Kickstarter in the link below. Thank you all for joining us, and thanks for hanging.
See ya.